Today is the first day of this January 1983 7-day Sesshin retreat. And we'll start with a koan, number 26, taken from Comments on the Mumonkan by Zenkei Shibayama. And the title of the koan, number 26, is Two Monks Rolled Up the Bamboo Blinds. Before starting with the koan, let's say a few words about listening to a talk. There are several people here who have not ever been to a 7-day retreat, and others who haven't been for a long time. And even if you've been to the last Sesshin, is it possible to hear something which one thinks one has heard before as though one has not heard it before? It is possible. When the ears are new and not linked up with memory. First of all, do find a comfortable position for the talk. If you find during this first time that it's very difficult for you to sit on the floor, then pull up a chair next time. You can put a cushion in the small of your back or higher up, depending on what is most comfortable. If you have tremendous aches and pains in your body, it's very difficult to attend to a talk. If you do need to change your position, your posture, the legs or whatever, then do so, but can you do it very quietly and carefully? Attending to the motion. Then there will be no disturbance to others. And in listening to words that are being said or read, how does one listen? Is there already, as we mentioned at the outset, the idea, I've heard this so many times? Already at that instant, there's no listening. There's thinking, and thinking slurs over what is going on right this instant. The words that are being said point to something that can be seen, or it cannot be seen. But there's no need to think about it. I'm good, I'm no good. Then one is cut off. So how does one listen without any resistance? The resistance of knowledge, of opposition, or thinking, yes, this is exactly the way I think. Just listening in openness and looking, because a lot of what is being talked about is me, you. In our daily life, which we don't see because we live in thoughts and ideas and ideals, images about ourselves and others, cut off, isolated, separated from what is actually going on. So in a talk like this, can there be glimpses, immediacy? Even glimpsing that one has been evaluating, judging, thinking, or the mind is completely somewhere else. See it. And then immediately listen to what is being said at this moment, regardless of what was missed. Two monks rolled up the bamboo blinds. The koan reads, the monks gathered in the hall to hear the great Hogan of Serio give Teisho before the midday meal. Hogan pointed to the bamboo blinds. At this, 2 monks went to the blinds and rolled them up alike. Hogan said, "One has it, the other has not." And that's the end of the koan. The commentary, Mumon's commentary, Mumon was a compiler of this collection of koans, lived, if I'm correct, in the 11th century, Chinese. He commented on these koans and made poems. This is his commentary. Tell me, which one has it and which one has not? If you have your Zen eye opened at this point, you will then know how Master Serio failed. Be that as it may, you are strictly warned against arguing about has and has not. And Mumon's poem says, when they are rolled up, bright and clear is the great emptiness. Another translation says, the sky is bright and clear. The great emptiness that does not yet come up to our teaching. Why don't you cast away emptiness in everything? Then it is so lucid that even the wind does not pass through. There's an interesting story about this teacher who is called here the Great Hogan, Great with a capital G. This may have been part of his name. It is from his biography. I'm reading here from Shibayama. It says, while he was still a young training monk called Buneki, he went on a training journey with a few of his monk friends. On the way, their pilgrimage was impeded by heavy rain, and they were forced to stay at a temple called Jizo Inn. After a few days, when the flood was over, they were ready to leave and bade farewell to the abbot, Master Keishin. The master pointed to the big stone outside the front gate and asked Buneki, "Venerable monk, all the," and this is in quotes, he's quoting some scripture, "all the 3 worlds exist because of the mind, and every phenomenon exists because of recognition. This is your usual understanding," elucidation it says here. Now tell me, is this stone out of the mind or in the mind? It is in the mind, was the response. Master Keishin then asked, "You, traveling monk, why do you carry around such a heavy stone in your mind?" Buneki could not say a word in reply. Finally, he decided to give up his pilgrimage and stay at the temple to study with Master Keishin. It said here before this story started that he was a very learned person. Studied a lot. Story goes on. From that time on, Buneki brought to Master Keishin one after another all the conclusions he had come to as a result of his profound philosophical studies. Teacher may have known this about him, or maybe he just happened to hit it. Apparently a lot of monks were scholars in Buddhist doctrine, scriptures, could very well converse on all these concepts of everything exists because of mind, all phenomena exist because of recognition. If you carry this to its logical conclusion, nothing exists except in the mind. That's a good question. Where do you carry this stone? Where is that stone?
not so difficult to even understand logically. It's the ideas we carry in the mind, the word stone, the word heavy. And recognition is seeing the word. And if you see the word stone, you don't see the stone, because the stone is not the word. So why it is so difficult to see the stone without the word? Or to see another person without recognition. Not that you don't recognize the person as who he or she is, but not immediately projecting what she has done yesterday or a year ago to you. If we see that, we do not see that person. As she is or he is this instant, which is not yesterday or a year ago, it's now. So here this was a challenge to this young monk, and he apparently searched all his knowledge, maybe even his books, and brought erudite answers, conclusions. And if you're steeped in them, you get very frustrated. If someone says, no, this is not it, then you think the person doesn't understand you. You start doubting, maybe, about the understanding of the person to whom you bring these answers. Each time the master would laugh the proposition away, saying, it's not real live Buddhism at all. Bundaki studied even harder. Didn't dismay him, he studied harder. That's what's his conditioning. If you're rejected, you study harder. Some people's conditioning is, if you're rejected, you give up. Both things are two sides of the same coin. Almost forgetting to eat and sleep to solve his problem. Well, we don't know what his state of mind was, so let's not have any conclusions about it. Forgetting to eat and sleep to solve this problem. Apparently it really was gripping him, setting him on fire. Where is this stone? Or what does it mean? All phenomena of this mind. And every answer I bring is rejected. Maybe at one point he started rejecting all answers himself. He didn't even have to bring them anymore. He put them aside as they came up. No, not this. Then there's just the question. It says here, the more devotedly he searched, the more desperate he became. It may have not been any more the desperation of being right in the eyes of the teacher, but sheer desperation of not knowing and of not finding a solution in knowledge, which is where solutions come from after all. They always have. Studying, asking wise people, thinking it over hard. And this activity itself provides some real deep sense of security to deal in knowledge. He was just rejected left and right. What can I hold on to? What is there left? That is desperation. And then not to give up and to keep questioning, not knowing. and keep questioning and reject knowledge. One day his energy exhausted. Listen, it doesn't say his energy at an all-time high. It says exhausted. There's this idea, the more you sit, the energy should accumulate, gather, and get bigger and bigger and bigger. You may find it is so on day 2 and day 3, and on day 5 and 6 it's exhausted. And then you think something must be wrong with me. That's all ideas. Don't have any conclusions about your state. We talked about that yesterday. Energy's exhausted. What is it? What is this one mind, or whatever his question was? He confessed to his teacher, I have no word to say and no thought to present. In other words, I don't know. Keishin calmly told him, if Buddhism is to be shown, it is perfect and manifest. You could also say, if it is to be shown, it is here. At this, Unaki was at once awakened. That's this man Hogan now, who has become a teacher, giving talks. A talk about to start, and he points to 2 bamboo shades, and immediately 2 monks get up and roll up the shades. From all we know traditionally of work at a monastery, Chinese or Japanese, work is done very carefully, attentively. And the 2 of them very carefully rolling up these shades, side by side. It even says here, they roll them up alike. Yeah, often such minute rules and regulations and instructions of where to put your hand, where to put your foot, that you do them alike. You don't do them alike, it may be pointed out to you. So either you could say, well, that can become a very mechanical thing. It can also arouse a lot of specific, partial attention. I don't say complete attention. It may be very partial to each task that you do. That task you give complete attention. The next moment you may not attend at all. You may not attend to what goes on inside. I am really a terrific roller-upper. And the image that goes with it, and the separation. So here, Hogan says, one has it, the other has not. Just for a moment, put yourself into this condition completely. You're one of those monks, and you're the other. And you do that. Teisho about to start, lots of people there, and it says the great Hogan, not just the teacher, but the great Hogan. Big assemblage. He just points at these things, and there you zoom up there, and you do the thing you've never rolled them better up in all your life. Probably quite a bit of self-consciousness there. Am I doing it right? And what are the people going to think of me? What's he going to think of me? What's he going to say? And I may be right there and then feeling, am I doing it a little bit better than he does? I hope I'm not doing it worse. I hope I'm coming up to par with this. And then just the axe falls. He says, one has it and the other doesn't. Imagine, put yourself into that. What's the first thought coming up? Am I the one who has it? Am I the one who doesn't have it? You may be very sure of yourself, and you may think, he's talking about me when he says, I have it. One has it. You may be very sure about your incompetency, your inadequacy, having been convinced about it for the last 23 years of your life, if you're 23 and a half now. I don't have it. He has it. My brother has it. Or this uncertainty. And with it, maybe already a incitement of competition. Next time I gotta do better. Because I want to be sure that I'm the one who has it in his eyes. As this is going on, as this is provoked, can there be attention to what is going on when someone says one has it, the other one does not? We're meeting up with this situation all the time. Usually not quite as vague, but being praised in the presence of others, or being blamed in the presence of others, or alone. And the immediate surge of pain if one is put down. Devastation it can be, a devastation, particularly when it's put down in front of other people. Devastation of what? What is it that hurts when one is blamed, put down? Or what is it that blooms and expands and makes one feel ever so good when one is praised in front of other people? You may say, I feel embarrassed when I'm praised in front of other people. But look at it next time it happens. And what is it that blooms or withers? That hurts or gives great pleasure? And see if it isn't an image of oneself that one has nurtured and is nurturing, how one wants to be seen by the teacher, by the other people, by oneself, and constantly needing more fertilizer for that. It's never enough because it's always insecure, because it can be devastated at any time. This is the nature of images. You say, well, where does this whole thing come from? Why do I suffer from it now, today? Probably, very likely, since the first day we were born, or maybe already before we were born, our parents had ideas about what we would be like. Because they themselves are unfulfilled. themselves full of images about having failed, having succeeded, wanting a successful child. A child who can fill up what is empty in oneself. So easy for a parent to latch on to a child for one's own fulfillment. To want him or her to be that way. And the child picks it up immediately. Because the child needs to survive. And the means of survival for the child are those 4 eyes looking down on it. Sometimes it's only 2 eyes with a single parent. The child learns to read very quickly the expectations in the eyes, or whether there is an unconditional affection, whether there's disgust or frustration, disappointment. So a sensitive child, also an insensitive child, has to survive. So it learns to please the parent. And garner this nurturing praise if this process has already been started. If it's never been started, then the child isn't used to praise or blame, and then it doesn't depend on them. So if the parent is accepting, approving, that's nourishment. Because often with something that one does right and nice, or one brings home good grades, one elicits affection in a parent. And that is more important food than real food. Just recently saw a program on television on how animals learn. They showed a little baby monkey had been separated from his parents and was put into a cage in which there were 2 artificial mothers. Don't know why they called them mothers. One was out of wire with food, and the other one was out of soft, furry, velvety cloth without food. And this is where the monkey was clinging most of the time, to the soft, furry, velvety cloth. Anytime there was any kind of upset, this is where he clung to and grasped at. One time, some real odd, strange objects were put into the cage, and Monkey was immediately frightened and ran to that furry mother. And after being in touch with it, literally, and with one arm still onto the velvet, one arm was reaching out toward that strange object.
And maybe the other arm came too. And then maybe it made a funny noise and it would go back for a while to that fur. And what was found, I don't remember exactly the series of experiments, that the softness and touch was much more important in difficult situations than the food. So we learn to do what brings us approval and to feel very guilty over what brings rejection, guilty, afraid, because rejection means no fur. Parent may put one into the room, or there's a distance there. One can't be close. All of this is threatening one's survival. So later on, rejection means, Or disapproval means my survival is threatened. And approval means my survival is ensured. This is why it's by no means easy. You can't say, I gotta let go of these images. You gotta see where they come from. And I'm not meaning that you have to dig into your past and see the first time that an image arose. You can see it now as it arises. And the fears that go with it, and question right into them. Not run away. Not wait for energy to arrive. The looking is the energy. Of course, there are the situations with brother and sister. Maybe intense rivalry there. Again, for the child, almost a matter of survival to come up to brothers and sisters. Very often this is used by the parents. It's used by the teachers. Many teachers I've heard say, when a child, a younger sister or brother enters her grade, she will say something about the brother who was so good, and I hope you're up to that. At work, our whole society is based on climbing the ladder, on achieving, on gaining. Not that different functions don't have to be fulfilled. Yes, they do. But with different functions go different pay, different prestige and status, which becomes as important to us as the pay. To be someone in the eyes of others and in our own eyes. And the fear that goes with it, because there's no security in it. Somebody else maybe get promoted next time, and you're left out. And the person that you've sort of annihilated by getting that job, and one may use all kinds of means to get a job for which several people are vying, are contending. Then you have no relationship with your co-workers. You cannot be related on a human level with people with whom you compete. It's impossible. You may pretend that you love all these people and are interested in, but you're not. You're interested in getting there, ahead of them, and being the one who's tops, and hoping that the other one will come out second. And in that there is no human relationship whatsoever. It's impossible. Do you see that? Competition kills love. And when there is love and being with each other on a level which has no rivalry, then there cannot be any rivalry. It may come up because we're so heavily conditioned to compete, to get approval, but you can see it. And then what happens if you see this competitive urge, this urge to establish your existence above someone else's? Do you see it completely, with full attention? Not slurring over, just stopping in the tracks and just looking motionlessly, quiet, inwardly and outwardly. Then does the image persist of, I am this or that, I want to be that? And the image of the other person, whom one wants to beat at it?
is it so pleasurable? Is one so entrenched in having to get this pleasure of being someone, getting there, being first, being tops, that one pushes an insight aside. And then, of course, eventually, the fear of not keeping that position, or the regrets. As long as one has to achieve, there's the constant fear of not achieving. So this competition pervades the family, the workplace, and it continues very similarly in religious organizations, spiritual organizations. Because we have such difficulty in keeping function what one does apart from the idea of being better, cleverer, brighter, more capable than others, or having achieved some position which other people look up to. Or the pleasure of having power over people, which goes with position. It isn't really that power over people goes with it if one doesn't see it that way. Because one always works with each other. But maybe one has been so often bossed around, so often just briskly told, do this, get that, and now one is in the place where one can do it too. So this pool which has filled up, the pool of hurt and having been humiliated or pushed around, now one draws on that in doing it to others. But can be seen at any time. At any time there can be one glimpse of attention. And then what happens? Does one persist, or does one really look, takes time out, and listens to all this, what goes on, all these voices and tendencies and pushes and pulls inside, and also looks at the people around one, whether one can at all see them as they are. I was told once by someone who belonged to a certain spiritual organization that rank was so differentiated, first between male and female, then between monks and lay people, and people who had some teaching function. And of course among the monks there were also divisions, there was seniority, and all of this was expressed in where your mail pouch was hanging, in which the daily mail was placed by the mail clerk. And if you attained a higher status, you were allowed to hang your mail pouch ahead of the next person, or maybe ahead of several persons. And as this person very innocently told me, there was great satisfaction in that. Isn't it absolutely necessary to look at these things? And when fear and anxiety swamps one at times, to probe into it. What aroused it?
One has it, the other has not. Why is he saying that? Is he saying that as a big, great parent to mete out praise and blame? To get these monks on their toes next time to roll them up even more meticulously? Or is there something different in this statement? One has it, the other not. So whatever is aroused in you when somebody says something of this kind, can you look at it? Not just flow with the traditional, conditioned reaction. Or, as that comes up, can you look at it? What is it? What is being triggered in me right now? And all the anxiety, the energy to achieve, or the anxiety over failure. The wanting, this ceaseless, this insatiable wanting attention from the teacher, wanting approval from the teacher. Is it insatiable? Or can it come to an end? To come to an end, it has to be seen thoroughly, all the way down to the bottom and through. Insatiable wanting. What is it? It's the raw stuff out of so many of our actions come. Insatiable wanting. Approval, recognition, affection, love, security. And we're always busy with getting it, with trying to get it, and we're always busy with fearing to lose it, and very busy with the sadness of having lost it again and again and again, rather than plumbing the source of it, this wanting, the pain of it. What is it? And that immediately move into fulfilling, gratifying, satisfying, either through ideas or getting things, people, but sticking with that, even if it is exhausting in its pain and desperation. What is it? One has it, one has not. We all have it. We all have pain, fear, ambition, competitiveness, or the lack of it. We all were children. We're all dependent. And there's a possibility for each one of us to see. Not because we have it, that's something we don't have. It's either there or it isn't there. It's there when there's profound questioning. Rejecting all the intellectual answers and not giving up. The commentary says, tell me which one has it and which one has not. So if your Zen eye opened
You will know how Master Serio failed. Because Mumon, when he says a teacher fails, usually means the opposite. Maybe the two monks were attending beyond the task of rolling up a screen meticulously, evenly. Maybe they were attending. Maybe they were not aroused by praise and blame. And one must be careful here not to establish a new safety by just not listening or not letting something get too close to one. Well, I know, I've heard these words before, and I know he's just saying these things. I will not let this get close to me. One grows a thick skin, so one cannot be hurt. That's not the same as seeing. Attending means attending to whatever is aroused. Or maybe then nothing is aroused because the attention is complete. And one hears the words, one sees the man. Who is he other than myself? When you're not there, with images of it succeeding or failing, doing it right or doing it wrong, you're just doing. And there's no image invested, there's nothing invested in it, then nothing can be lost. So is one invested in everything one does? And one is completely vulnerable to praise and blame. But why do we need to be invested in what we do? Just doing. Without the me, is that possible? To do something so completely, so thoroughly, so attentively, but no me in there. Then it stands on its own, and someone can say it's good or it's bad. And you will look at it in the same way, yeah. Maybe it's this way, maybe it's that way. You can look in a detached way because you have not invested yourself in the task. Mumon continues, be that as it may, you're strictly warned against arguing about has and has not. Having the truth, having true nature, not having true nature, what is the meaning of it? Who is the owner of it? Who has it? Can there be awareness how one acts, thinks, speaks, walks, talks, eats, rests from moment to moment as a flow? Who is the owner of all that? The doer. Is that just an idea, another image? When they're rolled up, Mumon says, when they're rolled up, the blinds. Bright and clear is the sky.
Actually, when a shade is rolled up and maybe there's no glass there, it's just a shade, then where is there the inside? Where is there the outside? Rolling up the shades, meaning looking, seeing, with a clarity that is not yours or mine. It's not coming to me from the outside, it's not coming from the inside. It's there. Because there's no me. wanting to be praised, wanting to be the one that has it. Then there's no clarity. Then there's only the old pattern of competition, the fear of failing. Then he goes on and says, great emptiness or clarity does not yet come up to our teaching. Why don't you cast away emptiness in everything? Which means here, the idea, I've seen something. I've understood something in the last session or a year ago. And then you just gnaw on that. It's gone. Is it here now? It can't be here if you're indulging in memories about what happened in the past. Can one put it aside so that there can be clarity? The shades rolled up, shades of memory rolled up. I don't know whether that's a good metaphor. Not given any energy. The energy gathered in looking, listening, questioning, rather than in remembering how well or poorly one did last time or yesterday or an hour ago. Talks here about clarity and lucidity where even the wind can't pass through. Can the questioning be of such a state that the wind doesn't pass through? Wind meaning thoughts, evaluations, putting oneself down or patting oneself on the back, and it's all wind. It does happen, but does it blow away the questioning? You can pick it up at any time, at any point, at any moment. Because every moment is new. Who? Moo. What is it? Attending? Or just experiencing inhalation and exhalation? Do you do it for praise or blame? Or do it out of a state of mind which does not know?